And we are recording. Well, hello, everyone. It's Matt, Nick, and Alysha here from Bent on Better's virtual option. I guess we could call it. I don't even know where I was going with that. But hey, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Bent on Better podcast. Today, we want to talk about a topic that has been very, very, very recent and is very reflecting of the times right now. If you're listening to this in the future, right now we are in week 10 of our shutdown across the board for the COVID-19 situation, and we are trying our best, doing our best to continue to serve our members virtually as we have been for the past 9.5 weeks. Now we're in week 10. We're almost done week 10, guys. We're almost done week 10. It's crazy. But I'm so excited that we're moving forward, and we've still been able to help a lot of people lose weight, get stronger, feel good about themselves. But today we're talking about people who are having some challenges physically. And so this topic today is about not just recovery, but also about self-care and being aware of what you're doing. So we're just gonna make this more of a conversation between the three of us, and we're glad you're here to listen in. So guys, I'll kick it off by just saying what was that simple quote that I totally mess up every time I say it, but it's like, work out because you love your body. Don't work out because of what you've eaten or that you hate your body. Like, work out and train. Think of it like training for making your life better, making your body better. Remember, our saying at the gym is like, be stronger, happier, healthier. Like, that's just straight up what we want. So that's where I was going. But let's talk about recovery. Let's talk about self-care. Let's talk about making sure you are keeping those things in mind here at week 10 or week 11 or whatever week of this you're listening in. Hopefully it's not much longer than that. Nick, Alysha, give me some thoughts.
Recovery guru, do you want to tell me first sentence?
It's funny. I was just about to say, like, you take the first one here. I think my dogs are about to start barking, so it might get a little loud over here. I might mute myself.
That's fine. Yeah, Alysha, you want to talk about maybe the first, just like whatever comes to mind about recovery and working out and what we're going through?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk from like a personal experience. Just stress levels. I know a lot of times we talk about stress with work, stress with the kids' virtual schooling. I can't get Google Classroom to work. It's so stressful. Oh my God. You know what I mean? But there's other forms of stress that we feel too. And me personally, I feel them. Like, I have to really be conscious of how often I'm looking at social media. Like, there's just so much news being thrown at us, and we're just consuming all these different facts, these numbers, and it just throws my levels off. And so I know that's one thing I have to be more conscious of to control my stress and just be happier. Just know what I'm listening to, know my surroundings, my conversations that I'm having, like, make them more positive, and just change the topic, right? Topics of conversation and what we're viewing plays a huge part in reasons that are stressful. So just controlling what's coming in and what's going out.
You actually just said something too important, Alysha. You said when that stuff's coming in. So, like, Matt, I know that you're pretty good about this. You have like an unplugged time, right? Don't you? Like, a time that you put your phone down.
Yeah.
I want to talk about why, or like, what, like, why do you do that?
Yeah. Well, so as a business owner, it's like I've never actually have like a clock in, clock out of work kind of time slot, or like go into work, go out of work. I choose when I work, which is a strength, but also a weakness of mine, and that I've discovered over the past 5 years of owning a business. And it's been so evident to me because now with the kids, and anyone who's listening who doesn't know, I have two toddlers. I have an almost 4-year-old in a few weeks and a 2-year-old. So life is so hectic, and when I choose to work, it's really a matter of whenever I can find that time in the day and have those time blocks set aside for me. But I was finding that I was working like until like 11, 12 o'clock at night, and like never unplugging and taking some time for myself, like just to recuperate and recover. So I try to unplug. It's been a little more flexible with the quarantine here, but I've tried to unplug at around 8 o'clock at night so I can decompress but really be mindful of my own stress levels and what's feeding into my recovery, which is, sleep is a big part of the recovery pattern. So that was a little more than what you're looking for, Nick, but there you go.
No, but so like I really admire that because I've actually adopted that after knowing that you started to do that. I mean, between Alysha and myself, like even though we are your employees, right? We work together with you. We still have to be conscientious of people who are texting us at different times of the day, and that's one of the greatest things about what we do is that we do have those personal relationships. And as a trainer, like I am with you. I am your accountability coach. I am your actual coach. I am all these things to you. And therefore I want you to be reaching out to me. But there are just certain times of the day where like toward the end of the day, I've got to get some sleep as well. So I can care for myself first before I go and try to take care of you or take care of somebody else, just to make sure that I can do that optimally. And then I'm not like functioning on 50% capacity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. So that plays a big part. And one of the other things that I want to talk about was sleep. And I'll keep this one brief, but we all know how important sleep is. You've been told since such an early age of like, you have to get your sleep, you have to get your sleep. Well, when you're highly stressed, when you're working out often, and whatever often may be for you, right? Maybe you've been a normal 2 days a week or 3 days a week person who would work out or do their training. And now with quarantine, you're finding that you have more flexibility in your schedule. You're at home. You don't have to commute to a gym. So you're working out maybe 4 or 5 times a week because you have this extra stress you need to like expend and get out. Well, you also need that time to recover. And our rule of thumb with the gym, and I think a lot of members are forgetting that. So if you're a member and you're listening in or watching this, listen closely.
Listen up.
The more you work out and the more you lift and the more you strength train, the more you do any sort of activity that's making yourself have to exert physical like output, you need to also match that with sleep. Mm-hmm. Your body needs to recover. And just because you sit down, that's not recovery. And just because you nod off in the afternoon because somehow you're able to for like a half hour, that's not recovery. You need to sleep. You need to spend that time. And I'm telling you what to do. If you're working out more, you need to get more sleep. That means going to bed earlier. That means sleeping in a little more if you can. That means taking a day off every once in a while or 2 days off just to know that what you're doing is long-term success, not for these short-term goals and gains and stuff like that. So hopefully I didn't go too far on a tangent. Does that make sense? Did that wrap my thoughts back around? Sleep is very important. When your body recovers. It's when your body repairs. That's what we need to do. Focus on sleep. And also manages your hormone levels and the things that make you feel stressed out and all of that fun stuff.
Well done. Yes.
And I'm done. Goodbye.
Well, yeah.
We also, I keep looking over here because we had a lot of notes that we wanted to talk about. So like some of the other things that we had spoken about. So we covered some stress. We covered the sleep, but there were other things on our list. Do one of you guys want to talk about the other things? We can kind of keep rolling with it.
Alysha?
I mean, we did mention like using foam rollers. That's one of our tools to feeling good after a workout. We talked about maybe using a Theragun if you have it, or a Theracane. Like all these tools are great, but maybe you just need to be therapeutic about spending more time outside with your family, right? Step away from those hands-on things and just therapeutically recover naturally, right? Just get outside. That helps me get some fresh air.
And sunlight.
Along the same topic, you've got those. So the foam roller, you've mentioned like the Theracane, which is, just your typical like trigger point cane. That's the brand. You got the Theragun, again, like a percussive device or something. But the stretching is like the foundation of a lot of that stuff. We're trying to get to the actual adaptive changes in your muscles so that your body can adapt over time. And right now, with our routines being so different, our bodies are starting to adapt to that different routine. And that's why some of us are getting like little aches and pains here or there creeping in slowly, or things that maybe were hurting us, a year ago suddenly reemerged, or anything along those lines. It's because we've started to adapt away from the things that we were getting stronger with, or the things that were helping our joints, being more supportive of our joints. So yes, like spending that time outside, spending that time away from the actual workouts, but then spending that time as well with the stretching and the other work that's going to help solidify all the changes that we're trying to make with the workouts.
Yeah.
I think we were thinking that, right? Like that's where our brains were going.
That's exactly where our brains were going. And
Yeah.
I'll talk personally on an experience. So I guess it was maybe 5 years ago, I barely sprained my ankle, and I had to do 12 weeks of physical therapy. And but during that time, like I was still lifting and still doing all the different things I could with my limitations. And I'm not going to talk about like the stupidity that I was doing during that time before even getting it checked out. But I'm going to talk about the recovery after, like post physical therapy. So now we're 5 or 6 years later. Every once in a while, I find like my ankle starts to click, and like I get some like discomfort and pain in my ankle, and like sometimes it's like discomfort and pain in my knee, and it's on the same side as the ankle when it's clicking, kind of like links up to each other. And what the one thing that I want everyone who's listening, and if you're listening in, like being aware, it's not always the one thing that's bothering you that is the cause or the problem. So, but the reading into it, I've noticed that with our virtual options and our online workouts, we've been offering these free, not only free, but these body weight options that people can do. And they're a little more high intensity. There's a little more like movements that are not just like strength-based movements. It's like moving around, jumping around, not necessarily always high impact, but like I'm doing the higher impact options, like the level up options to like challenge myself and to give people that option. But my calves are so tight, like, and that's what it was. So I thought back to like, what were they doing in PT for me? They were massaging my calves. They were helping with my ankle mobility. They helped with the ankle mobility so that I could go through my range of my squats so I'm not bothering my knees. And like, this is just my personal experience, but it's because I have not been doing my self-care. Like I haven't been stretching like I was when I was in a routine. Like I'm finding myself at night just laying on the couch because I am that exhausted from taking care of these two kids during the day and helping to make sure the business is still moving forward and helping all of our members who are still active and taking care of trying to communicate with the team like you guys. Like, I've found that I have neglected myself, and it's gotten to the point where I'm getting these pains and aches that have crept in, that have been there in a long time. So I have to, like, when we watch right now, we have Disney Plus. So I'm going to give a little shout to Disney Plus and Boy Meets World. We've been watching Boy Meets World. That's like my decompressing like show. There's not much to it. I can just kind of lay back. It's not going to be like negative in my brain. It's just kind of there. So I'm reliving my childhood, but watching Boy Meets World. But I'm spending that time and I dedicate it and I watch the clock and I use one episode, which is like 22 to 25 minutes of stretching. And I'm using that time and I'm stretching. I'm dedicating one episode. If I get done 1 or 2 episodes and 3 episodes in a night, at least one will be for stretching. That way, every night I'm stretching. Every night. I'm trying to do it religiously every night. Do I do it every night? No. But like 4 or 5 days a week? Yeah, totally. Especially the days where I'm lifting. So my point that I'm making here is you have to find a time in your day that works for you and actually follow through with the therapeutic things that help you see those changes. Rolling and Theragun, like all the different things we just talked about are super helpful in that moment. They help us get ready for the workout. Or they help us feel a little better in that moment, but they're not going to make those real long lasting changes. We talked about this in one of the other podcasts. It's like using a foam roller after your body's already warmed up is like closing the barn door after the cows got out. Like, do you really need? No, use that time to stretch and use that time to recover. And guys, in just these past few days of actually being painful in like holding these stretches and like, oh my goodness, like my ankle's not clicking and my knee feels fine. Like going up and down the steps, my knee feels better. And it's like mind blowing, but it's like, I've only spent the past 4 days doing these like uncomfortable stretchings and like spending the time at night to do it. But it actually works. This stuff works. It's crazy. And there's science behind it. So that was I just had to give my personal story here, and hopefully you can relate. Hopefully you guys can relate, but whoever's listening right now, hopefully you can relate to that and be like, yeah, you know what? I've been working out more, maybe just as much, but I haven't been taking care of myself like I had been in my old routines, or I haven't been taking care of myself, period, like I ever have. Like stretching was never a thing in my life until I hit like 29. And then like the past few years or 28, like whatever, like late 20s, early 30s, I was like, man, I need to start stretching. Like my body's not the same as it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. And so I'm now more aware of it than ever, and especially because we have clients and members who depend on us to not only speak from our heart, but speak from experience and speak from what we know to help them. So yeah, recovery, self-care, very important.
Good point. I think if you're taking notes at home and you're listening to this right now, one thing that you want to write down and make like, or just write this down and slap it on your refrigerator. Like, think about when you actually want to do self-care versus when you actually need to do self-care. And I think you're going to find that more often than not, you need to do it at the times that you don't want to do it. Yeah. And I mean, Matt gave a really great physical example. As a really quick mental example for myself, I find that meditation helps me really separate from technology and from stress and all these different things. I get affected more mentally as opposed to physically. And I find that a lot of times I don't want to meditate at the times that I'm highest at my stress levels, because I just can't focus enough to do it. And I have a very loving wife. She's really good at pushing me into the things that I know I need to do versus, again, when I want to do them. And she will tell me, go meditate. She'll be like, just go lock yourself in the bedroom, go do that. And I know it's crazy. As I start talking, you can, again, always, it's like nonstop. You can always hear the dogs in the background. Oh, yeah. But to close up my point, I think you guys understand. In summation, do it when you need it, not just always when you want it. Matt, great point with that.
Love it.
So finishing thoughts, final thoughts, Leash?
If you want to do something, write it down. Like, I like that slapping on the refrigerator. Use little Post-its, put it by the door, put it in the bathroom so you can see it all the time. Stretch, hydrate, like just little pointers all around the house. Just slap it up, make yourself do it.
Yeah. Nick?
I'm all out, man.
Fine. I think my finishing thought is one extra tip, little extra nugget here for you guys finishing up. Don't forget to hydrate, especially with all the warmer months coming along. Do not forget to hydrate. And when I say hydrate, I mean water. Like water. That's it. Not any sort of anything else, just water. And a super simple rule of thumb, if you're someone who struggles with getting enough water in the day, is fill your glass up before you go to bed and put it somewhere where you will see it first thing in the morning. I put mine on the kitchen counter every night, fill it up before I go to bed. So that way, every morning when I come downstairs, before I start doing anything, getting the coffee, I actually put it next to my French press. Before I start doing coffee, I drink my entire glass of water, and then I move on with my day. Your body will be so much better, and you will feel so much better when you stay hydrated. And to that point, if you drink it all, if you finish it, refill your glass. That way, the next time you come back around, your glass is ready for you. You can chug it down and refill it. That's your cue to have to drink it. Finish it, refill it. Finish it, refill it. Try to get 3 to 4 or 5 glasses in there, depending on how big your glasses are. Get it done. You're going to be so grateful. Your body will be. And also, if you're a caffeine person, you're going to get so much more out of your caffeine if you drink it. So that was my final note. Guys, thanks so much for hopping on here. Thank you, everybody who's listening in. We are going to wrap it up now, and we will talk to you guys all soon. Okay? Cool? All right.
Bye.
Bye.